So it's me, Kimberly from Crafty Saving Mama, and I am here today to do my budget with me. So I'm working on my January 2021 budget today, so I thought I'd bring you along with me. Before we get into the budget, I just wanted to show you the budget planner that I'll be using for this year. So I do digital planning, so it only makes sense that my budget would be digital. The program I'm using is GoodNotes 5, and the planner that I'm using is one that I have created. You don't have to budget like this. Pen and paper works fine. I like to use pen and paper or pencil and digital, but I do like to write out my budget because it just helps solidify in your mind of what you have to pay and what your limits are, right? So it kind of jogs your memory easier, for me anyway. So I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit about the planner first before we get started. So this is just the cover page, and when you come into it, it does have an index and stuff, but I wanted to show you the January. So this is the January calendar. I use a calendar method, and it just has the date, which is what I'm going to show you here. And also like your typical budgeting paper that you see here with your payment or your paycheck, and then your expenses, your cash envelope, sinking funds, debt, etc. So I'm hoping you can all see this. I'm trying to keep everything in the sky. For now, I do use debit only, no cash, or minimal cash if I do have it on hand. And I do use the You Need a Budget app to manage my categories. So that's just a way for me to keep track of my money for now. And in the future, when things are looking better and cash is kind of a normal thing again, then I will go back to cash budget. So I just wanted to explain that little blurb to you. But usually my second page has the cash envelope total as well as a breakdown, but we won't be using this right now because I'm not doing cash. So the first thing that I do in my budget is I fill my calendar with my fixed expenses, meaning it is for items that come out of my bank account for automatic withdrawal, say for car insurance or vehicle payments. I do fill in any subscriptions that I have. So my planner is built to have a bill tracker, which is how I kind of go through my month and make sure I'm paying for everything that I need to. So what I'm just going to split screen here. So it's almost like having two sheets of paper in front of you. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to work on one side for my calendar. And there it is, same calendar. But for this side, I want to see my bill tracker. So I already had went through, and it's like your typical bill tracker layout. It has the due date. Let me move this over so I can show you. It does have the due date. It has your expense or bill description, the amount due, the payment method. So I do deal with two banks, so I do have two bank accounts listed, and as well if the payment is automatic or not. So I do have some that are automatic, and I have just a handful that are not. And then also you have your tracker. So every month you go through, and when you pay it, you color it in so you could see. So this is like my main section of like my expenses. So going back to the split screen, so usually what I do, I'm going to make this side smaller. Usually what I do at the beginning of the month, I zoom in so I could see my due date and my expense and my amount due, and I go and I move them into the calendar on this side. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all those payments into the calendar, and I'll speed through it so it doesn't get too boring, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. All right, so one thing, so after I finish getting my payments in, the next thing I'm going to do is put in my paychecks or money that I will be getting for the month. So I am getting paid here on the 31st and I get paid bi-weekly. So my paychecks will fall on the 14th and the 28th this month. So I'm going to go in and I like to put them on the top. So I'm just going to move this guy down. And I'm just going to write in pay, and I forget how much I get paid. So I am going to go and look at my previous planner because we have to use that anyway to look at some payments prior. So I do get paid $1836.47. It's pretty consistent. 1836.47. Like it's pretty, I'm a salaried worker, so it stays the same pretty much every payday. So I'm going to copy that down here. And there's my paycheck. And the other thing that I do get, I live in Canada, is I get Canadian child tax benefit. So that's a benefit if you have a certain income, then you get money per month based on your number of children. My current amount for child tax is $936.60. So I'm going to add that in. And that falls on the 20th of every month. So I'm going to move these down a little bit. And I just call it CT 936.60. And there it is. And what I like to do with my payments, I like to kind of just put a border around them. So I could see that, like, hey, there it is. And this one, I don't like that one. And that's the fun thing about digital planning. You get to kind of erase things and copy things as you would like them to be. All right, so those are, oh, you know what I forgot to add in? I forgot to add in my other child's expenses. So usually that happens because she is at the bottom. So here's the sheet again. So we got in all those and I forgot hers down here. So I'm going to go ahead and add those in. You can't be forgetting stuff you need to pay for. All right, so we're just going to slide that over and we'll have a look at our calendar for the month. So now that I have all my payments in, the next thing I do is I use a highlighter, the highlighter method. If you can see, I get paid not until January 14th. So how am I supposed to pay these previous payments before I get paid? So what I do is sometimes I have to go look ahead into the month. So what I am going to do is show you my previous month's budget, which is December. I'm going to put it over here. And we are going to look at December. So there's December. So you can see I did the highlighter method here. But I want to kind of zoom in down here on this payday, my last payday of the month. And it was on the 31st, and I was going to pay my bank fees, but you see I put a little note here that I would be paying for these 3 things, and actually it turned out to be more than that ahead of the month over here in January. So I'm going to just go ahead and pick a highlighter. I want the same matching one, and I'm going to go ahead and say that with that one I paid for rent and Spotify. And where's my Adobe? It's on the 14th. Even though it's on the same one, I'd rather just pay it ahead of time. And then I also forgot the vehicle payment and this other thing I pay for, but I did readjust my December budget to reflect those two payments. So we don't need that anymore. So in January, these few payments are already covered with a December paycheck. So, and also that one was covered. Sorry, I missed that one. So that one was also covered in December. So anything prior to the 14th has already been covered with my December paycheck. And now we just move ahead. All right. So the next step we do is we actually go through and we get to start highlighting. So I'm going to pick a new color. I like pink. So we're going to go through and mark what we're going to pay with each paycheck. So I do kind of have it already set up that with my child tax here, I'm going to mark it pink, that I pay, oops, I don't like when I double click that I pay for insurance, because I do only get 900, so that's already almost a third of it. And I pay for insurance and I pay for my sales, that's that payment. So in between those two, that's already like $600. So I do pay those two with that, as well as I will pay that and probably Netflix there. And now, so I've already designated what expenses will be paid with that check. And I'm going to go through and pick another color, and I'm going to start with my first paycheck in the month on the 14th. So I'm going to color it blue. And I am going to pay Amazon Prime, my winter tires, and I'm going to also pay for my Crave subscription, as well as a vehicle payment, my secure funds, and I forgot to put the amount there, but that's okay because I already know that it is $80. It never changes for internet. So I kind of assess it. And you also have to think that we're going to do the same thing that we did from December to January. And we do have some payments that we do have to make in February with the last check. So I'm going to highlight the last check here. I'm not sure what I'm going to pay this with, but I'm going to decide after this. So I got those payments there, and I'm going to click into my February. I still have my highlighter on. So when I kind of glance in February, I only added in some of the payments, but I wanted to make sure that I had all the payments that happened before my first paycheck in February. So I know that with my end of January paycheck that I need to pay for those three things. So already I could see $450 there. I'm going to flip back to my January. And here I have, so just by kind of looking quickly at the numbers, I could see that I will pay for this internet with this blue paycheck here. All right, so that's pretty much the calendar method. It's just writing in your expenses and coordinating payments to paychecks by color, right? I do have variable expenses that I'll be adding in, but this is just my first step that I do. So next step that I do is I do split screen again, so I can look back and forth. And I don't want that calendar. I want my current calendar. And I'm going to go to January. And down here, these are all linked to the corresponding, dates that you want. So my first paycheck is on the 14th. So I'm just going to type in here January 14. And my next one is on the 20th. And the next one is on the 28th. All right. So now that I got those in, I'm ready to go budget my first paycheck for January. So I'm going to click it and it'll take me there. So all I do is I just start filling it out, and I am just going to go paycheck up here. Paycheck and the amount. So we're doing the blue one here on the 14th. So it is $1836.47. And then you just, some people will budget per the week or in between, so they might have maybe 2 paychecks or something. So I've left enough space to add as many as you wanted, but I kind of just do mine one at a time personally. So I copy it down. So that's all it is. And we'll type in the paycheck date, which is January 14th. And it likes to do that. And I'm going to make it nice and big so I could see it. And I also like to color it with the corresponding highlighter. All right. Just a little something I do. Anyway, so next section is expenses. So what I'm going to do here is everything that we highlighted in blue, I'm going to fill it in here. All right, so our next step is just to like total that up. So I'm just gonna pull up the calculator and we'll do that. So we're just $8.95 plus $51.75 plus 32 plus $297.59 plus 50 plus 80 is $520.29. So we're going to put this total down here. $520.29. If you hear some noises, it's just my daughter is in here while I do this. And our next step is to take our income minus our fixed expenses. So we're going to do that. So $1836.47 minus $520.29 is $1316.18. So that's kind of what we have left to work with for the rest of our cash envelopes and sinking saving funds. All right, so we're done with that for now. Is to fill out our cash envelope section, which is just your variable spending. Like I said, right now I am not doing cash envelopes or cash. So we're going to open up our split screen again, and I do have in my planner cash envelope category tracker. So it's very similar to the bill tracker, just that it's cash envelope. So it has the same sort of headings, cash envelope and monthly amount. Monthly amount to me means like the minimum or maximum, whichever way you want to look at it, of what you want to spend. And then under that, I have my sinking and or savings funds, and they're kind of listed in order of priority. So I do have my list, and I do use this to start filling out the rest. So I'm just going to zoom in a little. All right. So I don't know if you noticed, but some of them have 2x beside them, meaning I would like to split it into 2 between my 2 paydays of the month, and the rest, if I can fill it fully, I will. So because this first paycheck is my main paycheck, I like to fill it with these ones that say 2X. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill them in, and I'll zoom through. So once we get those in, again, we're going to add them up. And one thing I forgot to do was to bring this balance down here. So at least with digital planning, you can just copy, but you can just write it if you're handwriting it. So that's what we have to work with. And we're going to get our calculator out again. Make it a little smaller. And all we're going to do here is total the envelope. So this section to this section here. So we're going to clear our calculator and we're going to add it up. So 400 plus 125 plus 140 plus 150 plus 40 plus 150 plus 50 and 50 again plus 80. It's equal to 1185. So we're just going to type that in. And then we're just going to minus the 1185 from the 13, 16, 18 balance. So 13, 16, 18. I like to budget down to the cent. It's just the way my mind works. Plus I worked in finance for a very long time, so that's probably why too. So our remaining balance is 131.18. That's going to go towards our sinking / saving. So we're gonna close that off. So now we have the second part of our budget built. And one thing I like to do to kind of track my cash envelopes as we're going along, that once it's filled, I color it off or highlight it. And I only do it month to month. At the end of the month, I'll clear the colors. So for my groceries, I filled half. So I just like to highlight the first half. Same with gasoline, cigarettes, restaurants, and childcare was all filled 50% here. So the other things I filled were stuff I forgot. I fully funded out. So I totally stroke it off, as well as personal money for myself and my children. So now I know in the later paychecks that I just have those two envelopes to fund. And I do the same thing going down. All right, so now I didn't have to do that. So now we're going to get into our sinking savings funds. So we have $131.18 to budget with for this paycheck. So I do like to do them in order. And sometimes when I'm working in my planner here, I just like to loop them and copy and paste over instead of writing. But you could see I only have 131 and I have 50, 75, 85. All right. So I know I should be able to fund these ones, but not house and home fully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move them over here and make it a little bigger to match the size and fix the placement. I will show you this one because it's very short, but I know I'm not going to be able to do 100 here. All right, so I only have 131.18. So how I do this part is I bring my calculator back and I come here, and so my 131.18 is here, minus my 25, minus the 10 for the cat, and minus 50 for vehicle maintenance, which leaves me with $46.18. So I go ahead and I change this one to $46.18. So I know that this totals this $131.18, and it is also zero-based budget, so every dollar is accounted for. And I know that this paycheck now is fully budgeted and it's $0. So once I finish that step, I go ahead and highlight the ones that we fully paid. So we fully paid that one, Haku, vehicle maintenance. So what I do here for my house and home is because I couldn't fully fund it the $100 and I could only fund $46.18. I just go ahead and I write down beside it $46.18. So now I know when I'm working on my next budget and I do have money for sinking savings that I just have to fund the difference. So I kind of keep track that way, and I erase and highlight as I go through. So that's pretty much how I do my budget for each paycheck. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'll speed through it, but I'm going to just finish off the next 2 paychecks this month, and we'll catch up when I get to the end. All right, so here is my second paycheck in the month completed, and I can see that I didn't put a date on it, but that's okay. That was January 20th. I'm still talking in December here. So again, January 20th, and we'll make it a little big so we can see it. And that is our second one. So now we're ready to budget for the final paycheck in the month, which is here. And it does run over into 2 months, into January and February. So we will start again with our last paycheck on January 28th. So we're going to do the same steps, and I'll just fast forward this for you guys. So here's my sinking savings. So all my expenses were able to be budgeted, as well as my cash envelope categories. However, when we do get down into my sinking savings, I wasn't able to fully fund all the way down. I only made it up to about halfway. So I still need about 2, 3, 4, 1100 to make it all happen. This one is a large one to budget for, but without that, I would need about 500 to meet my goals. But one thing I want to explain in my budget is that I only budget income that is guaranteed to me. So my payday is child tax. Another thing we get in Canada is GST, and that will be this year on the 5th. I don't include that in my budget when I'm working at it at the beginning of the month, because sometimes it's not always guaranteed. So I don't count that in my income because it's not 100% guaranteed, whereas these ones are pretty much guaranteed. And the other thing is that I do side hustle. Sometimes I create digital designs. So how I handle those transactions are throughout the month. I do have another, like I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I end up doing is I start calling this 4th one miscellaneous. And what the miscellaneous one, or how I do it, it's like my blank one. But what I end up doing is I just start going in here, and when I receive money, I just fill it out how much I got, and then I budget it, and I write it down where I budget it to. So I'm not too worried about my sinking funds not being totally funded, because I know I do have some other money that is coming in this month. So I know that I definitely know that I can't fill all of them, especially this one because it's so large, but I hope to get there. I hope to make that much money. So for now, this is what my January budget looks like and how I budget with it. I use, like I said, I use You Need a Budget app, and this just helps me see my overall budget for the month and where my money probably should go. And I do use this to add money into my categories or pay my bills. And that's what's helping me keep on track for now anyway. So until next time, I will see you guys when I see you. And thanks for budgeting with me. Bye.